We're live. Dun 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 dun.
So we're
Dun 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 dun. Welcome everyone to another edition of SpaceAg Conversations. Um, Thank you so much for joining us today on May 4th, and may the 4th be with you. We're going to hang on a minute while people join us, but in the meantime, please let us know where you're joining us from in the chat.
Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on from where you are talking from. Glad to have you all here with us joining in this special Star Wars Day.
Yeah. Hi, Adele from Dubai. Hi, Henry from New York. I think I know you. Hi, Amy from, Amy, one of our co-hosts. Great. Trisha from Philadelphia. Welcome. Yvonne from Tampa. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome everyone.
South Sudan. Amazing. I think this might be the first time we've had someone joining us from South Sudan. So welcome. Welcome, Edward. Okay. And once again, Davi is our co-host. He's joining us from London. My name is David Caesar. I'm the lead agronomist from Agritecture. I'm joining you from California, San Francisco Bay Area. And it's a pleasure to have everyone with us today. So while folks are joining, let's get started. So once again, welcome to SpaceAg Conversations. This is a series that's hosted by Davi Sousa and Agritecture. We've been doing this together for the last couple of years, and it's a great pleasure to have everyone joining us today. Our agenda today, we'll give a very, very, very quick intro over about our series. They'll have our presentation today. We have three amazing guests who will be speaking to you about STEM education. Then we'll have some time for questions and answers. So be ready with your questions. You can add them to the chat as they come up. And then we'll have some closing remarks. We have a very special announcement about a new platform that Agritecture and Davi are unveiling today. So very exciting day today.
Yeah, be with us until the end. We have a great surprise for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. And tell you a little bit about the SpaceAg series itself. As I mentioned, the SpaceAg Conversations have been going on for the last couple of years. And all our previous episodes are available on YouTube. And we'd love for you to go ahead and check those out. And definitely join us for all future editions of our webinars. And as I said today, we have an amazing group of guests today to talk about STEM education through plants in space. We have Jason Jury from Crop King, Randy Hendricks from Grow, Build, Learn, and Amy Padoff from the Fairchild Tropical Botanical Garden. So with that, I think we're ready to get started.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I am so glad to be here, and may the 4th be with you. My name is Amy Padoff, and I'm here to talk to you about a program that I run called Growing Beyond Earth. And I want to welcome you to the Growing Beyond Earth Innovation Studio here in Miami, Florida, at home of Fairchild Tropical Botanic Garden. And Growing Beyond Earth is a project in partnership with our science mission experts at NASA's Kennedy Space Center and is funded by a grant through the NASA Science Activation. The project is designed to have students around the world testing edible plant varieties to feed astronauts for long-distance space travel. Next slide, please. So like I said, Growing Beyond Earth is a cooperative partnership between Fairchild and NASA Kennedy Space Center with the goals of expanding food options and increasing plant diversity for spaceflight and evaluating multiple edible plant varieties. So having students testing edible plant varieties to feed astronauts for long-distance space travel. So that's middle and high school students, and really inspiring the next generation of space explorers. And you can see here the work that the students are doing in the classroom is analogous to what they're doing on the International Space Station. You can see the two systems. Next slide, please. So Growing Beyond Earth started 10 years ago as a way to inspire students in STEM careers, specifically associated with the space industry. It's a classroom-based citizen science project with currently about 450 schools around the world in 46 states and now 13 countries, with more than 800,000 students participating since its inception. Students support current plant research for the International Space Station. Our scientists, Dr. Joya Massa and Trent Smith at Kennedy Space Center, have been working for many years to determine what plant varieties are best to feed astronauts for long-distance space travel, and they have limited person power in space. And so the best way for them to be able to test lots of varieties in lots of different growing conditions is through middle and high school classrooms. Students run experiments using equipment that's similar to what's on the International Space Station, like I showed you earlier, testing all kinds of new varieties, new growing techniques, really addressing crop readiness level 1 and 2 out of the 9 crop readiness levels that plants have to achieve before they can grow in space. Students do 2 trials. The first trial is where they're following prescribed research trial designed in partnership with our scientists at NASA. To gather important data. The second trial, they analyze their first trial and they propose original research, maybe new varieties, new lighting techniques, new fertilizer, new watering strategies. And then those proposals get approved by the NASA scientists and the scientists here at Fairchild, and they get to then present that research to the NASA scientists during a springtime symposium where the scientists are there to provide them with feedback, hear what they have to say, and use their data. The data is completely used by NASA. All the data goes into a beautiful portal where the students, where the NASA scientists gather that data, use that data, and then share how that data is being used. And to date, students have tested about 275 different vegetable varieties. We've studied 40 of those have been down selected for future testing at Kennedy Space Center and have flown, 5 have flown on the International Space Station, including extra dwarf bok choy, Matsuno mustard greens, red romaine lettuce, red robin tomatoes, I'm sorry, and then the last one is, a chimeo pepper, a southwestern pepper, that have all been tested through the Growing Beyond Earth project. You can see the growth chambers behind me. This is our studio. We give all of the equipment and materials to the schools for free, including all of the seeds, all the growth chambers, thanks to the grant supported by NASA. Next slide.
How big, Amy, how big is the extra dwarf bok choy?
How big is the extra dwarf bok choy? It gets to be about this big. It's a super tight, what they're looking for are varieties that grow well under low energy lighting, have lots of edible biomass. They're looking for things that have strong flavors because your taste and your senses are muted in space. They're looking for things that grow super dense, like I said, lots of edible biomass, and have lots of vitamin content that's not found in the processed diets. That
sounds like a great consumer product even, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're not quite there yet. The growth chambers are designed in-house and they are analogous to the veggie system on the International Space Station. Same size, same shape, similar lighting, a little bit more advancements. And those growth chambers are manufactured locally and designed in our makerspace. So yeah, eventually someday, if we have a big manufacturing pool, right now we have about, like I said, 450 schools around the world that's doing it. We're opening up, next slide. coming to the end here. We are opening up for the coming fall. Schools, middle and high schools can start the program in September. We have information sessions on our websites where teachers can go and sign up to learn more about the program. I pray that this QR code works, but if it doesn't, you can always reach out to me so that we can get you guys onboarded and then get you your materials and equipment to be able to participate in the program. And with that, I want to thank you. I look forward to your questions, and I am only 1 minute over.
Can
Amazing.
Can any school join, or is it like a competitive process?
So any school can join as long as we have the materials are free until we run out of funding, right? So it's about 100 new ones a year. This year we have submitted a grant application back to NASA so that we can scale it 5x. So then that would be 2,500 schools a year, which makes me a little nervous and scared, but that allows us to have more students participating, impacting students' efficacy, interest, and identity in science.
That's awesome.
What an
awesome,
amazing
Amy.
program. Yeah, what an amazing program.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So moving forward now, we'll have Randy Hendricks from Grow, Build, Learn. Henry, the floor is yours. Randy, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be with all of you today and to introduce a little bit of Grow, Build, Learn and my experiences in growing in space. In our case, we don't literally grow in space, but figuratively through some of our storylines. To give you the backgrounder, my family started gardening a couple years ago in our front yard. We had so much excitement. We're based in Niagara. We're literally right next to Niagara Falls, Canada, about a 5-minute walk from our offices here at the Niagara Falls Innovation Hub. And so we had a great experience growing through the summertime, and it got to October, November, and they said, what do we do now? We can't grow anymore. So I purchased a small hydroponic unit, and my son, Santiago, he's on the autism spectrum. He doesn't always fully engage with things, but he just loved the system, the lights, the sound, the moving water. He was kind of fully engaged. And that was basically my inspiration. I started talking to schools and educators about how we can teach STEM through growing. So we are a brand new organization, Grow, Build, Learn, and the feedback that we got from teachers is that these experiences need to be hands-on, easy to use, and curriculum aligned. So we built out the Hydro Garden, which is more or less an off-the-shelf kind of hydroponic unit, and we've connected it with some sensors for EC and pH. We have some cameras on the unit as well, and that all integrates into a dashboard that we built out ourselves. It's we call it an AI digital companion. Basically, the students can track and see everything that's growing in their unit on this digital dashboard, and then the storylines come from a framework that we call the Mars Academy, and that's simply two teenagers that are in their Mars colony space mission, and they come up with different challenges every week that they share back with students through a 3 or 4 minute kind of introductory video, and then the kids go into activities in small groups to kind of build that out. So you can move to the next slide. Yeah, so in terms of some of the things that we're doing with our dashboard, we are using a machine vision to track growth so that we can integrate that into the dashboard. We have logins for the teachers and the students to be able to track growth and progress, and from our admin team as well. There's a kind of a live shot that's always available from the grow area, and we're also concerned about using the right ethical framework. There's some UNESCO guidelines on that in terms of integrating AI. There is a chat functionality where we're still building it up, but basically I can have a conversation with Groby and ask, what's my pH level? What's the EC level? Do I have enough water in the tank? When can I expect a harvest to be ready? And I can have that conversation back and forth. When they're students under 13 years of age, it's best for that to be mitigated through a teacher or an adult or someone else. But we use that as a great way for them to engage and be guided from the teacher side of things. So there's not a lot of setup work. They can simply have the conversation with the unit and it will walk them through the next steps of what to do. We found that in some schools, we have a conversation and they'll say, oh yeah, I have that hydroponic unit. It's kind of in the closet or it's been collecting dust for 3 years. The teacher that ran the program is no longer here. So we wanted to make sure that there's enough that is transferable and make it easy and accessible to use. You can move it to the next slide. And so, yeah, with our elementary school students, we kick off with a workshop where they we learn about from Andre and Francie, learn some basics about light, about moving from a natural system to an engineered system, that we're reflecting things that are in nature. Because from a curriculum alignment standpoint, for the province of Ontario in Canada, there's no curriculum for space growing. It's curriculum for earth growing. So we have to kind of use these storylines to obviously adapt it into a curriculum alignment. It's very important. So we do that through these activities. And then if you move to the final slide, in our workshops that we've done with high school students, basically we give them the framework of, the Mars colony is under stress. All the team members available are working on restoring oxygen systems. You need to help us restore our plant systems. And basically they build their own hydroponic unit in about 45 minutes. So they will be given basic general tasks. And they're given a plastic bucket, they're given a piece of cardboard, they're given a light, and they have to figure out how all those kind of pieces work together. Because we think that systems thinking is a way that kids need to learn and engage with through the educational process. So we can put that critical thinking and system thinking into group exercises where they're coming together. And it's a pretty simple set of, besides the the $25 grow light, I think everything can be accessed through their science lab or a quick trip to the Home Depot. So try to make it as accessible as possible as we do this. So as I mentioned, we're a new startup. We're just piloting in schools through the spring with a plan to roll out further into Ontario. But we found even things like talking about the food insecurity on Mars, we tie it back to food insecurity on Earth. So we develop little games and activities that kind of make those tie-ins. So space is our framework or our backgrounder, but it's always applying it to, what, just like from the other presenters, what's happening in space, in these new explorations. All those things can be applied in that technology on Earth, and that's what we're doing through our teaching with kids.
That's super cool. And what a crazy coincidence, because I was just in Niagara Falls, New York on Friday and Saturday for a project, and they're doing some exciting things in the schools there as well. So maybe there's some potential for collaboration with your systems, because I think that would be super interesting. So.
Sure, thank you.
Well, thank you, Randy, for your presentation. Very, very interesting approach. It's really good to bring exactly this space-based inspiration inside the classrooms. So, moving forward, bringing exactly like this experience from the classrooms as well. Now we can move to Jason. Jason, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Wow, this is great. I'm so happy to be here. May the 4th be with you all. I see some of my absolute favorite teachers in the list of participants. So happy first day of Teacher Appreciation Week to all my fellow educators that are grinding it out in the classroom right now. You only got a few weeks here. Keep strong. It's almost summer vacation. So A little bit background on me. I'm the education director at a family-owned company called Crop King Incorporated. We've been around for about 40 years, and we do a number of different research projects to help our commercial growers get better at the techniques that they are trying to master out in the field. So we have about 3,000 square feet of research greenhouses. We trial different crops and things like that. So we love to take that information, push that into schools, and then talk with students about why that matters for food security and issues like that. So I did teach at the high school level for 17 years. I taught biology and environmental science, and hydroponics was one of those really important topics that we touched on a lot with environmental science. So I brought some smaller kids into my classroom. My students and I would design unique experiments. We would crowdsource that data. We'd populate a data sheet with that. And then we would have these really robust high-level conversations. So it's important to me to continue to do that. I've accepted this position with Crop King, and my impact has just gotten much greater. My footprint has gotten bigger, and I'm just so glad to be here talking with you folks here. So some of my connections to food and space. I ran a number of NASA-funded STEM camps while I was at the district that I taught at. Every summer, we would bring in around 500 students. We'd offer them experiences in STEM, and that ranged from everything from creating a synthetic Martian regolith all the way to designing spacecrafts that we would shoot off the staircase and see how far they would fly. So lots and lots of engagement and hands-on activities. So you can see here in the picture of me, I actually got to do, I was selected to do a 1-week training at Johnson Space Center back in the early 2000s with a team of teachers from our district. I was enrolled in the Microgravity University for educators, got to train with some NASA scientists and astronauts there. So I like to think that I bring some of that real life experience to some of the conversations that we have. If you could please advance to the next slide. To talk a little bit about what I do in my current role as education director at Crop King, my ideas, my inspiration is to get other teachers engaged in growing fresh produce in their classroom. We found that there is just an absolute huge need for this right now. Something like 40% of the green jobs across America are going unfilled every year, which is just a crazy statistic. It's the #1 industry. Agriculture is the #1 industry in Ohio. And we're just simply not filling those roles right now. No one is going into agriculture. And so that creates a great concern, right? Because we are not filling the roles that are being vacated every year as people retire and get out of agriculture. So we're trying to inspire the next generation to use tech-heavy vertical farming and other devices that allow them to grow in spaces that are not considered traditionally good for agriculture. And classrooms are definitely one of those. And so as a former educator, I understand the barriers that come into this and why teachers might be reluctant to get into controlled environment agriculture. So that's some of what I try to help with. Some of those barriers to entry, we always know from a teacher's perspective, money is always the #1 issue. It's how do I get funding to get this into my district? Oftentimes, free resources just aren't available out there. So we help with grants. I work very closely with the Ohio Space Grant Consortium and some of the other space grant consortiums from around the country. Those are NASA-funded grants that we're able to help teachers get. So just in the last year here in Ohio, we got over $25,000 in grants to get teachers growing in their classroom. And then we provide the content standard aligned curriculum to go with that. Another big barrier for entry that we see often is the support. So it's great to give teachers resources, but if they don't know what to do with that, that can be very off-putting. And as Randy said, things get mothballed. They end up being coat racks in a closet somewhere. So we have 3 technicians on staff that are specifically trained in hydroponic growing that we invite teachers to contact at any time. If you need help with content and curriculum alignment, I'm your guy for that. So we do provide the content, we do on-site training, we do virtual training, really anything that a teacher needs to feel empowered to go into their classroom and start doing this, that's what we hope to provide. And if you could go to the final slide for me, please. So my goals for this and for today is to help support a generation of forward-thinking citizen scientists. I love the idea of kids getting their hands dirty, literally and figuratively, with growing, learning what things could be. And again, just to echo what my co-presenters have said, the issues that face astronauts in space those are still issues that we face here at on Earth. We haven't solved these issues yet. So a lot of what we're talking about, it has great overlap with what's going on in urban areas and in areas where there's just simply not enough resources right now to create a robust way of growing enough food for the students in the classroom. So we want to create meaning around food. We want to create cultural awareness, grow culturally significant foods, give students ownership of what they're doing. The students in the photo here, they grew 80 heads of lettuce, just those 4 students. They did it all by themselves in the classroom. And then that food goes out into the local food systems through restaurants, food banks, weekend bags to the families in the community. And it's very empowering. And let me tell you, there's nothing more exciting for a student than eating something that they grew themselves. So the idea of doing this and then marrying that with space and space exploration, the excitement level is just off the charts. So I'm so glad to be here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone, and I can't wait to hear what we've got to say today.
Thank you, Jason. Glad to learn more about your work there. Well, with that, we have concluded the initial introductions from our guest speakers. This is a roundtable discussion, so for now, it's just like I just some initial thoughts on what they are doing for you to learn and give more context about how they are impacting students throughout STEM education and especially plants in space. So to move forward with our discussions, we have some questions for the panelists. The first one is, um, how do you measure the impact on student learning? So we can start from the opposite order. So Jason, if you want to start answering.
Yeah, so obviously with most K to 12 education, it's test based. It's there's a lot of summative assessment. The state or whomever is going to require that the teacher provide some sort of data that shows growth over the course of the year. That's great, but we believe that formative engagement is much more important. So this would be inquiry-based lessons where students have an opportunity to show that what they're using and what they're learning can be applied to a greater scale. So we love the idea of scalability with things like controlled environment agriculture. So we love to see where kids start in, K through 5 with a very small rudimentary unit, something that gets them engaged and excited. But then as that scales up, there's this opportunity for workforce development and engagement in career tech opportunities. So when we talk about STEM or STEAM or any one of the acronyms we want to use, science, technology, engineering, art, math, indoor growing in really controlled environment agriculture, whether it be applied to earth-based growing or space-based growing, is it's so complex with what's going on, right? We're integrating chemistry with pH and electrical conductivity. We're integrating physics with hydrodynamics and fluid motions. ELA, even English language and writing. We have students write letters to the Ohio Department of Transportation. We do tests on road salt and how does that affect riparian plants in the margins of the highway, and then writing to people in the state senate and asking them, how much salt are we putting down? Are we doing damage to our plants? And so when we bring this back to a conversation of space and how do we gauge this with students, I love the idea of doing something where students create an experiment and then the level of knowledge is this sustainable? Is this something that the team in a flight module could actually sustain long term? It's great to throw out ideas about growing fresh produce, but if it's only going to last for 2 weeks, that may not be sufficient for what we're looking for.
Great. Randy.
I guess in our system, what we're building out right now in the Groby dashboard is a place for us to track all activities. So we can track, task engagement in terms of if we're either giving the teacher tasks or kids tasks, so we can track that they've fulfilled those tasks. We're looking at how we can kind of build in small and simple questions around multiple choice, simple questions. Are they understanding the theories, the principles behind it? That can be done kind of before, during, and after. And then because we're in pilot mode right now, we're really focused on on getting that feedback from the teachers, just in terms of what's working. You know, we have a short kind of video presentation each week, and then we break them up into 3 groups and rotating through like 6 or 7 minutes at each station. So we just need to learn ourselves what's working and what they're engaging with first, and then we can kind of continue to build on that. So I would say, you know, using the technology we can to track activities, and then still being in the, you know, we're called grow, build, learn. So we're always in learning mode in terms of getting that feedback from the teachers as to what's working and what isn't working.
Interesting. Amy?
So we have several ways of evaluating the impacts of the program on the students, the teachers, and even the parents. We've had some connection with the parents. We have several ways of doing this. One of which is we have the symposium at the end of the year where the students are showcasing their original research, and it's a poster session. We have a live and a virtual so that people, no matter where they are, can participate, and then we can really gauge whether the program is getting that they're understanding what's going on. The second way that we're able to do that is through the quality of the data. So we have created a data portal in partnership with our colleagues at Salad, we have a wiki portal. We have a wiki where there's all the data that all the information that they can look at from previous research. But on there in the data portal, we can assess the quality of their data. We're really looking for, messy data is good because that's allowing us to see how these plants are faring within lots and lots of different environments. And then the third way is actually some work that I'm doing for my PhD, which is actually looking at the impact of this particular program on students' self-efficacy, their confidence, their interest in science, and their identity. And what we're doing is we are asking them we're doing pre and post. We're looking at the changes over time. And what we're seeing is that there's lots of growth and lots of change, and especially because it's the innovation, the quality that we're calling innovation. And that's that idea that this is research where there is no answers in the back of the book, right? So this is not a classroom-based experiment where you pour A into B and you get C, you always get C. This is innovative. The students are actually contributing to the research. They're not, it's not just for the sake of doing it. So what we're seeing is that there is a large increase in student identity from pre to post based on their, we see that. It could be a lot of things, but we do know that we're asking them those questions. We're also looking at, like I said, self-efficacy, confidence, and interest, and how that impacts career interest in long term. So we're doing a lot of that kind of research. And we also have an external researcher. Any NASA funding has to have an external researcher, and really looking at, feedback from the teachers, understanding what they need and what they're getting from it, and how the curriculum or the pieces that we're building impact that. That's what we're up to.
Okay, amazing. And in terms of impact, I just wanted to share that in a previous lifetime, I was a teacher teaching middle school and elementary school, and this is out in California, and we had gardening programs, nothing indoor, but just like small gardening programs. And for me, the biggest impact is, when I'm out around town and a kid who's, I taught 10 or 20 years ago comes up to me and says, you know what, I really hated middle school, but I loved going outside with you. I loved, growing plants. I love doing hands-on stuff. So just keep that in mind, everyone on the webinar and all our great guests. Kids love to interact with plants, whether it's indoors, outdoors. That's really impactful for them. So just remember, you're really making an important difference in their lives.
And for us, I'm part of a botanic garden. So the idea of having kids grow plants is really the reason we got into this in the first place. I'm a space nerd from way back, but really giving kids an opportunity to put their hands in soil and grow a plant and see that they can is really the bottom line for us, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
David,
So
go ahead.
yeah, remembering when I was a teacher, one of the biggest challenges was that like getting these classes to come out to the garden and to spend time out there. Teachers were like, oh, I'm so busy. I need to do this. I need to get my kids ready for tests. I need to do this. So that was, for me, one of the biggest barriers for getting the teachers to bring their kids out there was I would always ask them, you know what are you guys learning about? How can I highlight that in the garden to kind of take that off your plate? So when you guys are working with students in different or classrooms, what's kind of the biggest barrier you face in getting these programs implemented, getting teachers to really get excited about these and implement them in their classrooms? And anyone can start.
I can say for me, the biggest barrier is teachers having enough time or understanding, like understanding that or finding time to do additional things, in this world of, like Jason said, testing and teaching to the test and pacing guides and standards and all of those things, finding ways of integrating this program. It's a year long, right? So like, how do you do it? And for us, we are trying to, what the idea is that instead of it being curriculum based, because the Growing Beyond Earth program is not curriculum based, you don't have to follow these things, you're growing plants, right? So the idea is that the students have that, showing them how they can integrate their curriculum into this, right? So this becomes a cornerstone project, a capstone project that feeds through all of the other subjects. How can you do statistics and math in this? How can you do the engineering piece in this? How can you do the social sciences with this? And so finding ways to be able to show them how it's integrated. So for us, that is the biggest challenge. I mean, we're lucky. We have this funding that we're able to give away some materials. I'm sure I'd like to have money for everybody. But the most needed schools get the materials for sure.
I would echo what Amy said. I think that it's about finding ways to allow these ideas to merge together with what already needs to be taught or is required to be taught. It can't be something else. It can't be something new that's an additional ask of the teachers. It's finding inroads that these things intertwine tightly so that it complements what you're doing in class, not detracts from or adds additional resource or adds additional lifts to. It's how do we create inroads so that when we start thinking about history, for example, we're talking about the Dust Bowl, we're talking about the Green Revolution, and there's all these different tie-ins through growing plants in class that checks these standards for even a history teacher. So I think it's creating that synergistic relationship between growing and what already exists. And then, again, I would come back to the question was, what are some of the barriers? I would say 95% of the teachers that I work with, their comment is always, this sounds great. I want to do this. I'm motivated, but I just can't find enough funding to get myself going. So finding those resources that are available and partnering with those people that have money to share is paramount for the people I work with. And a lot of times you can find $500 here, $1,000 there, but if you really want to build out something robust and something really high level, it often takes more funding than that. So finding revenue streams where either the district is able to pay some in, or in our situation, we do a matching fund on some of these grants where they'll get $1,000 from the Ohio Space Grant Consortium, and Crop King matches the other $1,000, which is a requirement to get that grant. So finding those partnerships where you can leverage some of the long-term availability of funds is definitely important.
Yeah, one of the things that we did coming up against the challenge of funding was, there's grants out there, a variety of them covering in Ontario, everything from STEM training to food insecurity and other areas. So we just created a site called I think it's schoolgrant.ca, and then anyone in Canada can just look at that site, and it's a place where I can point people to that are coming to us where, again, we try to balance out funding and covering a certain amount, but we can point them towards some resources or even help them develop that. So that's been helpful. And then I guess another point that was brought up was just making it easy for teachers. So no one has extra time for extra stuff. It has to be able to be, for us, our kind of our key is it's got to be hands-on, easy to use, curriculum aligned. And the curriculum alignment piece is tricky because we do we've done some pilots here in the springtime, and the science teacher says, well, that would have been great back in October when I was talking about plants. And so I think for us, it's a learning process over time of, yeah, this lines up in this month with this grade, and be able to, in a school, help them map it out to say, if we have a particular program that works with grade 3s, grade 5s, grade 8s, and not necessarily every grading year, to make sure that we can do as much of that legwork for them to when it unfolds, it's just a natural kind of process. Say, oh, this is working so great, but we've engineered it in the background to make it work that way. So I think that's for us something that's ongoing and evolving.
Okay. Amazing. We have a question from our audience. Someone's asking about the costs of these programs. So maybe if you guys could give a little bit of thoughts about kind of the range to get these systems set up, and then also what are kind of the ongoing costs for substrate and nutrients and seeds and all that kind of stuff.
For
Jason?
the Growing Beyond Earth project, if we if we have funding, it costs nothing. Just a little time for training in the beginning for the teachers, time in the classroom. The cost of the consumable materials and the equipment is covered by the grant for U.S. schools while supplies last. If you are a international school, obviously we have federal dollars we can't support, but the cost of the growth chamber with all of the consumables for ever and ever is $500. And that gets you the growth chamber. It looks like one of these guys back here. And it gets you the consumables, the protocols, the access to the data portal, the access to the monthly chats with the scientists, where we have monthly chats with our NASA team, as well as the ability to participate in the symposium. So all of that is included in there.
Wow, that sounds amazing. How much space does someone need in their classroom for the growth chamber? How big is it?
It's one of those boxes back there. So it's a tabletop situation. It's got a light built in. It's got reflective sides. It's got a microcomputer that takes some environmental and sensor data. And then the students are doing it's an open system, just like the veggie system on the International Space Station. The students do all the measuring, collect all the data. It's very hands-on, but there is a microcomputer that's collecting temperature, humidity, CO2, barometric pressure. The students are also collecting that as well. So yeah, it sits right on the table. It's I think 50 centimeters square, I think is what the total number is right now. So it's tiny.
Okay, that sounds like an amazing deal. $500, and if you're abroad and do all these amazing things. Yeah. Okay.
We also have on our website, really quickly, there's just a couple of, if there is people who are interested in funding, we have created some like materials that you can like template letters and things like that you can take and use to go raise funds to support that. And we're here to help you with that as well.
And I can speak a little bit about our Crop King systems. So we have something kind of similar that we call our desktop unit. And so that is also all inclusive, comes with your light, all the rock wool, seeds, nutrients, everything you need to get growing for around $350. And that comes with our content standard aligned curriculum as well, and support through Crop King. And to replenish that kit on a year basis is about $25. So for each one of those kits, it's about $25 to get the seeds, the rock wool, and any nutrients to replenish that kit for next year's growing season.
On our side, we have a subscription model, and to get started and have both the hardware side, our sensors, machine vision for tracking, our dashboard, all the integrations for the students, teachers, and admin, and firewall integration, all those kind of pieces, and then the elements of our storylines, our Mars Academy, Grower Academy, Engineering Academy, and so on. It's approximately $3,000 per year, and then they have the full ongoing support with that.
Okay, thank you.
We have a few technical questions that I would like to address. The first one, I believe this might fit well for Randy. The question is, could we fully automate the whole crop manufacturing, I would say growth process? So you mentioned here, Randy, that you use AI as part of your system. So how do you balance exactly like the engagement with the plants and the use of the,
Yeah.
let's say, digital system?
Yeah, so definitely, while we could automate everything, the whole purpose is for the kids to be hands-on, right? So
Yes.
they are doing the germination, the transplanting, the checking, they'll bring out a light sensor, they'll bring out their EC pen sensors to be able to track those things and do it themselves. We can have kind of redundancy in a backup system there that pushes all our data that we have on sensors at a kind of a commercial grade level back to the cloud for us to track. But we specifically don't want to over automate that part of it. We can automate the machine vision number crunching and the tracking of growth, but we can also give kids the hands-on experience of drawing out pictures and on picture graphs of the size of their plant, grade 3s drawing out the size of their plants growing and make a little kind of a line graph for that. So we definitely use the tools more on the back end, but we want to make sure that experientially there's enough stuff left for them to do. So I think of it as redundancy and support, that we can have an automated piece that is working in the background, and Groby might give a nudge to a teacher, you might want to check this, or be on top of that piece, or take action here. So that's how we see kind of that AI supported integration piece as the conversational support on that side. But certainly, we have to be active and engaged hands on the unit.
That's great. There is another question here. I would address this to Amy. You mentioned, Amy, about the data, like the students who gather the data, you upload it in the portal. NASA researchers will evaluate this data. So the question is like, how is, for example, yield biomass recorded in in the programs? And I will complement that, like how also do you track, for example, other space-related constraints, for example, microgravity. So you have right there like a clinostat. So if you could just mention about this, like how is the data acquisition process?
So that's a really good question. So the students are collecting edible biomass, they're collecting germination rates, they're collecting growth rates. And it's just simple measurement. So, surprising how many kids are learning how to use rulers at middle and high school, which is crazy to me. But they're simply measuring and adding that into the portal. So they're measuring, the edible biomass they're harvesting. We give them some examples. The idea with any citizen, the idea with any citizen science is that these data can be messy, right? We have a data scientist who works on, addressing some of that data. We can assess where we need to address our protocols when we see some weirdness in our data portal, right? So when you see things are crazy in the data portal, things like, okay, plant 2 seeds and then leave the strongest one and get rid of the least strong one is like super, super difficult for schools, for people to do. They don't want it, they feel like they're killing that baby. Now, we all know as plant scientists, we kill plants all the time, but that is definitely an issue. So that's how these data are all put in there. We have a data person that goes in there, but you know what? NASA's really interested in the broadness of this data because it really shows what they call the robustness index, right? What plants can withstand, all kinds of different conditions. So where's the best place to check that? Middle and high school classrooms. Air conditioner goes out on the weekend. The heat comes on. They have a long weekend. They have a break. The forget to water. How quick do these plants bounce back? So that's all really important because the astronauts on the International Space Station may not be plant people. So it's really important that these plants be able to take those kind of fluctuations in that. And then what was the second part of the question? I'm sorry. You had a second part of that question.
Regarding the microgravity simulation.
Oh, okay, microgravity. So I have a clinostat behind me. That's just something that we're using here. This is a machine that was designed by a company out of France that's for growing plants to simulate microgravity. So the way it moves in its random conditions simulates microgravity. What NASA is telling us, because we are not simulating microgravity in the classroom, but what NASA is telling us is that because of the general mechanisms of plants like phototropism, plants are going to grow towards the light. They're not necessarily concerned about the impact of zero gravity on these plants. They need to get them to the point. So NASA has 9 crop readiness levels. The crop readiness levels, they have to get through before anything can grow in space. And so what our students are doing is crop readiness level 1 and 2, identifying and then doing the baseline test. Anything that passes through there then goes into their systems at Kennedy Space Center for further testing. So they're not necessarily, we are not trying to simulate microgravity in the classroom. We are trying to simulate lots and lots, we're not trying to simulate anything. We're trying to just get lots of data about different varieties of plants because there are some varieties of plants that may just not work. They may not be consistent and all of those things. So that's what we're really trying to do.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, I have one final question. I know, Jason, earlier you mentioned that like a big chunk of green jobs are going unfilled. So, and I know Crop King works with lots of, operators all around the US, all around the world. So I'd be interested, and I know, Randy, you're in Ontario. There's a huge greenhouse industry there. Tell us about kind of the pipeline portion of what you're doing. How are you guys connecting what's going on in the classroom to real job opportunities or potential job opportunities?
Yeah, David, that's such a good question because that's really something we've been working hard on for the last couple of years is how do we make this a little bit more mainstream in the classroom? It's obviously very ag focused, and a lot of students don't have exposure to agriculture the way they did even 30, 40 years ago. And so there's not as much interest. So bringing it in a way that gets kids excited about it is really where we're trying to find inroads. So a lot of that is through strategic partnerships. We work really closely here in Ohio with the Columbus City Schools, which is the largest single school district in the state of Ohio, in partnership with the Ohio State University. I think right now we have about 38 schools in the Columbus City School District that are currently growing through controlled environment agriculture. And really what we're trying to do is show students that this is a viable pathway to, potentially a very secure job in the future. Food needs are not going to change between now and 20 years from now. In fact, it's just going to get worse, right? Our global population continues to grow. Farmable land is being reduced every year. Columbus is one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. And there's just a ring of expansion that's going on that's being urbanized, and all those farms are getting gobbled up. So finding ways to show students that A, it's viable, B, it's exciting, and C, it's going to be a long-term answer is really kind of where we're going. So we love the idea of scalability. So through these partnerships, we've run very small easy to utilize systems into the classroom that have really high return on investment. So we're making sure we're growing crops that are going to succeed. We start with things that have really easy asks like lettuce. Lettuce is very tolerant of disruption from temperature. And so we get a great crop of lettuce, but by the time they move to upper elementary and middle school, we're growing tomatoes, cucumbers, beans, and things like that. And then into the high school level, now we're starting to get into some of the more unique and kind of off the wall things. So I just saw there was a question about, can you grow different things in controlled environment agriculture outside of the traditional crops? One of our classrooms are growing okra right now. Another one is doing baby love watermelons, these miniaturized watermelons. Heck, we've grown redwood trees here at Crop King. We've had a redwood tree growing in a Beto bucket for 7 years. So there's really nothing that can't be grown hydroponically. So maybe some of that for students is, how do we push the margins of the food market into things that are non-traditional crops and get people excited? A lot of our partner growers are growing things that people weren't growing 10 years ago. And now you show up at a farmer's market and there's these really bizarre foreign foods that just weren't there 10 years ago. And it's creating this resurgence of foodies and people that are interested in culturally significant crops. And we're seeing this excitement kind of grow in those school districts. So I hope that answered your question, David, but that's kind of the approach we're taking is how do you cultivate that excitement and get kids really, really excited about growing and then show them that there is a pathway to do this for a living.
I guess from our side, as a new organization, we're looking at how we plug into colleges and universities here in Ontario. We're working with preliminarily with Niagara College, the #1 research college in Canada. They've just built out a new research greenhouse facility, so they have two greenhouse facilities on site. What's attractive about us to them is that we're engaging students at the grade school level and the high school level, and they're providing obviously teaching, programming, diplomas, degrees at the college level. So we're a great kind of introduction to putting CEA kind of into the minds of kids that wouldn't understand what's possible or how having fun in science class is going to help them move into something that's more that's a practical and real job. So.
Okay, thank you. All right, let me go back to my screen share. We have a big announcement right now that
Exactly.
Bobby is going to tell you about.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we saw that there are many other questions, so unfortunately we cannot address all of them here in the chat. If Jason and Randy can also do the same, if you have questions for them, feel free to address to them. So with all of these discussions, exciting discussions, understanding the need and the potential of space agriculture, not only for future space exploration, but also for here on Earth, we started working something very new together, myself together with Henry, which is there in the chat with us, and the whole agriculture team. We developed the Astro Harvest platform. And what is Astro Harvest? Is an AI-powered space agriculture platform designed to help humanity to grow food beyond Earth. And David, can you pass the slides? And this comes up with something very innovative because to do that, we need to transform agriculture into strategy. And with all of this, we also need to have a community to do this together. So the Astro Harvest is next generation platform where we are combining agriculture science, AI-powered crop optimization, and space-grade systems to simulate, manage, and optimize food production for space agriculture research and future extraterrestrial environments. And we now have the beta access open for those who are willing to try and be part of this community. David, next slide, please. And what we have in this platform. So, as I mentioned, the idea is to build a community. And no matter if you come from agricultural background, space background, or if you're just an enthusiast, we want to give you the tools to start your space agriculture journey. So if you're new to space farming, there is a research library and other tools that you can learn more about SpaceAg, learn more about the research, the experiments, the platforms that are doing this type of research. You can also grow your perspectives. So we have a specific part on the platform that you can compare the different environments that you can grow crops from Earth itself, to International Space Station, Moon, Mars, and even the deep space. And this is a platform where you can learn by doing. There is simulator, games, and even the agronaut chat where you can ask whatever questions you have, even the questions that you might have here from the webinar today. Go there to the agronaut, talk to it, learn more about the field. And mainly, this is a place where we can connect and discuss with other space agriculture professionals. So join our community. David, next slide, please. Join our community forum, start conversations, make discussions, discuss with other professionals in the fields, and be part of this betovation to test, give your feedback to us. So you can find right there the link for the platform where you can access, you can explore all the features, all the the tools, do your registration, unlock your access to it, and be part of this new community. And do not forget to share your feedback, because this is a platform where we learn with the others. So like we are growing together, we will hear from you, and we start improving and optimize what we are delivering to you in this platform. So we are more than excited to announce that to you, and do not forget to register and join us. David? Yeah. And to conclude our Space Conversations 07, as usual, if you are interested to get your certificate of participation, you can go to the QR code. I'll put also the link here on the chat. So you can answer the participation form. This time, the keyword, as you can see in the screen, is Astro Harvest. And answer the form, and you soon will be reaching out to you with your certificate of participation. So I think that's all for now. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to our guest speakers, Amy, Jason, Randy. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your experience. It was so exciting to hear from you all. And to everyone who participated and stayed with us until now. Thank you so much. David,
Yeah,
if you want to go
yeah,
ahead.
thank you, everyone. This was a really interesting and inspiring webinar we did today. I really hope lots of teachers will reach out to all three of these folks to learn about all the great opportunities for things they can do in their classrooms. And thanks again to everyone. Really appreciate everyone's time and enthusiasm.
Thanks, guys. This was great.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in the next SpaceAg Conversations.
Yeah, have a great day, everyone. Take care.